in the last stream, we were working on completing a couple of the quests in the challenge questline here. We finally managed to get our first Rainbow Stone, and on top of that, we also managed to get like 48 more Rainbow Stone as well, 44 of which we have in our inventory. The rest we have down on the top of our little like arch here. And we also completed a couple of the other quests, specifically the Bottle of Enchanting and the Block of Evil Infused Ingots, to the point where we now only have 3 quests left to do in the challenge questline. We have completely completed the tips questline, and we have but 1 quest left to do in the story questline. And then, of course, if we're up to the challenge, we also have the secret ending quest, which I think is going to be by far one of the most difficult quests for us to complete. And I think that we should probably start today by actually looking at this secret ending quest, because if we're going to make this sword here, we need 2 of these perfected opinion cores. We've showed the crafting recipe before, but essentially there are multiple tiers of opinion core, and you have to make multiple copies of each one to get up to the highest tier, right? You start with the pathetic version, and then it goes up to mediocre, passable, decent, good, damn good, amazing, inspiring, and to perfected. Each of the next tier up requires 2 of the previous tier, meaning that to get 1 perfected, you need an absolute ton of the pathetic. So, if we're going to actually make this, there are a couple of things that we are going to have to do. And the reason why we're starting with this is because some of the items that we need, we're going to need a lot of them. And so getting those going sooner rather than later is going to increase our chances of being able to craft this at some point in the next decade. So the first core here requires a block of iron and then 4 red coal. So the idea here, of course, is going to be that we basically turn our infinite wood into infinite charcoal. Now, I think it's probably going to be well worth us looking at getting some of those speed upgrades that we made in the last stream, which I think might be over here. We could end up making more of these magical speed upgrades. We'll see how things go, I guess. For now, this should be fine. I do think that we can, for now at least as well, probably just go ahead and steal this overclock generator here and place it down right next to this furnace for power. So this setup here should provide infinite power to this furnace, which then should allow us to put some speed upgrades into there. That's going to allow us to start making a bunch of red coal. The only question now is, how do we want to distribute these speed upgrades? Okay, so this seems about perfect. We have 16 of the magical speed upgrades in the resonator, and we have 4 of the regular speed upgrades in the furnace, and this seems to be very slowly but surely going up in charcoal. So we're producing the charcoal just a bit faster than it's being used by the resonator, and the resonator is being, extracted from using a flat transfer node, again, just about fast enough to where this is kind of slowly but surely going down. So this looks good, and this should generate enough red coal for us to make the highest tier of opinion core, within a fairly reasonable amount of time, hopefully before the end of today's streams. So let's have a look then at this ritual. I have been told that we can actually go ahead and reattune, or I guess attune again, the crystal in the ritual to provide a trait. So you'll see right now it says tuned to mineralis. We can put it into the altar over here to kind of attune it again to another constellation to give it a separate trait. The one that we are after here, I believe, is Ulteria. If we give it the trait of Ulteria, what that's going to do is it's going to decrease the range within which the ritual will work, but by doing so, it's kind of going to focus all the star power into that smaller range and thus generate ores faster in that area. Like right now, if we leave it as it was, the area in which we can turn stone into ores is actually quite large. I think it might go out kind of 4 blocks like this. I believe if we give this the Ulteria trait, that's going to pull the range down to just 2 blocks out. And actually, I'm going to do like this, because I'm not quite sure how far the range actually is. I assume it's 4 blocks. But if we give it the trait, I believe it goes down to 2 blocks, which is still quite a large range, but it should make ores much, much faster. So let's leave that there for a second. Let's go and rearrange our setup over here by moving around these spectral relays so that we can attune this crystal to this new constellation. So this one only needs 5 spectral relays. And does look a little odd, but that should be ready to accept this crystal over here. And again, just as kind of a baseline, when we put an ore down, I'm just going to try and see how long it takes for it to transform here. You'll see the iron did go all the way out there, which is, I think, as far as it can go. I don't think that one will ever turn. But you can see it's not that fast. Like, it's taking a while for that one to transform. If we take this crystal and drop it down over here, it's going to be once again attuned to a constellation. This time, instead of replacing the Mineralis kind of attunement, it should add to it, giving it a trait of the new constellation. Perfect. And so this guy now is, as you can see, is tuned to Mineralis and has the trait of Alteria. So if we go and drop this back down in here, this should now be, I think, a lot quicker, albeit with a much smaller radius. So let's get rid of all of this. And now if we put down a stone, you can see that transforms into an ore much, much faster with just that small tweak there, which is fantastic. It's not going to work during the day. However, we do still, of course, have our clock down here that is hopefully going to skip tonight fairly quickly for us. What I'm thinking of doing here is I'm thinking, because we have a 2-block range, which means in total we have like a 5x5 area surrounding this guy, which I believe goes in all directions, by the way. So we can go approximately 2 blocks out. This one won't change because it's 3 blocks away, and you can go 2 blocks up as well. So this one will change, this one will change, this one won't change. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to make a bunch of mechanical users to place down stone. We're going to make a bunch of mechanical miners to break the ore. We are going to give those mechanical miners Silk Touch. Thankfully, we can, like previously, we were using a mechanical user for that, and we were using one of these crystal pickaxes. We don't have to do that. We can use an enchanted book in a mechanical miner, and we can enchant a book with Silk Touch over in our refraction table over here. So I think we will start with 25 users and 25 miners. So once we have more than 25 miners and users, we'd have to make a few extra because they're made in sets of 4. My plan is, and I guess we'll do it here because we already have the anchor down, although we may end up moving the anchor ever so slightly. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all of this. So we're going to put the miners down first. The reason for that is that I don't think it's going to be like really doable for us to put the miners down after the users. So let's start by having these point downwards like this. For now, we can go ahead and break this guy. So once all of the miners are down, what we should then be able to do is like a similar thing down here, where I'm going to have to build the floor out so I can actually place the user down, because if you try and place, you know, a user down pointing upwards, but you put it up against another block, it'll end up going down sideways, which is, again, a little awkward, but given that we have no way of rotating it, I have to put it down right the first time. So we're going to put all these down. What we should then be able to do is put down users like this. And then if we can get out of here, we should also be able to put down users kind of around the outside like this. Now, unfortunately, that does mean that I can't put one right in the middle. Like, I can put a user there, but I can't put a miner on top of it, I don't think. I just don't think there's a way I can get that going down. So I think we might have to work with 24 miners and users instead of 25. So the plan here, chat, is we're going to have every single one of the mechanical users set up in the same way. All of these guys are going to be fed with stone. So we are going to have to set up a big old stone smelting factory, which I think we'll do just down here, right, and have it all be pumped up. So we're probably almost certainly going to have to increase the speed of our cobblestone generator, but thankfully we can do that in a couple of ways. Right now we're using a mechanical miner to do it. we can put speed upgrades into this, and that would make it faster. We could also swap over to a transfer node with a mining upgrade, and then we could put stack and speed upgrades in that to make that faster and produce a lot of cobblestone that way. And then I think we will end up setting up just a bunch of electric furnaces that are going to be smelting all that cobblestone into stone and pumping it all up into these mechanical users. We want each one of these set to place block, and I think random slot is probably fine. No, you know what? We'll set it to upper place block and then upper left slot only. And then we'll fill like this in with random stuff so that only ever one stack of stone ends up in there. I think that's going to help us later on down the line. When we're pumping stone in, we don't want to fill like one user with stone and have another user empty. But we'd rather each user just have the one slot for stone, I think. Once all of these are set up, which they should now all be, they should all be set to place block, upper left slot only, right click, and they should all be full of cobblestone in everything apart from the upper left slot. We then also want to configure the miners. These are going to be set to redstone on, so that they mine when they get a redstone signal. And they're also going to each get a Silk Touch enchanted book, which is going to allow us to pick up all of the ores directly. Specifically, of course, we want emerald ore and diamond ore, because for each emerald ore we can get, I believe, 4 emeralds if we run it through the Starlight Infusion Altar, whereas if we were to break it normally, we'd get just the 1 emerald. So we can kind of quadruple our emerald output, and emeralds, and also our diamond output, I guess, but emeralds are really what we're after, by putting a Silk Touch book in all of these. And given that we already have the table over here set up to make Silk Touch items, that should basically just be a case of us making 24 books. Alright, so this is Isaac from the future talking. I'm recording this after recording the stream that you're currently watching. The reason for that is that I would like to explain this monstrous setup that we spend like the next hour of the stream working on. So originally my plan was to make a bunch of these electric furnaces from extra utilities and use those to smelt all of our stone. After a little bit of conversation with the Twitch chat, they convinced me that because these are a bit of a pain to make, and because we do have the ability to make infinite fuel using the infinite wood barrels, it would probably be a better idea to just set up a ton of regular Minecraft furnaces. So I started working on that, and then it wasn't until about halfway through this setup that it was then pointed out to me that one electric furnace with about 32 speed upgrades would be the equivalent of the 64 regular furnaces that we set up here. At that point, I thought we were too far gone, so I just completed the setup. But in hindsight, this was much more effort than it was worth. Whilst we do have the ability to make infinite wooden barrels, I then did have to go and make a ton of item translocators. We also had to set up multiple ender chests with multiple retrieval nodes to pull all of the stone out of all of the furnaces. And after all was said and done, it wasn't even that crazy fast. Like, we have 64 regular furnaces here. It's quite fast. It's definitely fast enough, but we could have done this much more easily by just investing in 32 of these ultimate speed upgrades. We would have had to swap from magical to ultimate, because magical, you can only have a maximum of 16, but the recipe for the ultimate speed upgrades isn't too difficult. The drop of evil is just nocturnal powder, and the evil infused ingots are just iron and nether stars, which we have a ton of. But either way, this is the system that I ended up going with. Essentially, we put down a transfer node. If you put down 1 lava and 1 water with cobblestone in the middle, you can then add a mining upgrade to the transfer node, and it will then start producing cobblestone. If you then add speed upgrades to that, it will begin producing cobblestone much, much faster. That is then being sent around to all of the vanilla Minecraft furnaces, which are of course all being fed with infinite wood via these translocators. And then at the bottom here, we have item pipes connected to all of the furnaces, and that is allowing these retrieval nodes here to pull all of the items out of these furnaces into these ender chests. These are of course all linked to the same frequency, which links to this ender chest over here, which is then being pulled out of and into the mechanical users, so that we can automatically place the stone down up next to the ritual effect. And so yeah, that is basically this setup here. If I could go back, I'd probably just use 1 furnace and speed it up a bunch, but this is what we have. And so without further ado, I'll hand you back over to Isaac of the past to start turning that stone into ores. It has been 400 hours. However, we do now have a chest full of enchanted books, 24 to be specific. We have cobblestone being made. We did do some number crunching, and we did calculate that this was actually just a terrible idea. It turns out that we could have put a bunch of speed upgrades into 1 extra utilities furnace, and that would have been faster than this. But either way, we have this down now, and I think it looks pretty cool. So we're generating a ton of stone. That stone is then being sent over via ender chest up into these users here. So we have all of our chests being pulled via retrieval nodes over to these ender chests. They're all linked. And then over here, we have a transfer node pulling that out into the mechanical user. We now need to put the silk touch books over into our miners. That's going to allow us to actually get all of the ore that comes out of them. And then from there, all we have to do is set up a system to periodically trigger the redstone to actually activate the miners, at which point we should start generating, hopefully, a rather large number of resources. So let's go ahead and put these in. Unfortunately, you can't shift-click them in. They do have to go in by hand, which is a little unfortunate, but very doable. So once we have all of the silk touch in there, and once we have all the redstone down, my plan here, I think, is to utilize the clock from extra utilities. Also, we do need to, of course, actually get down the ritual anchor. So let's put this guy down. For now, we'll put him down, I guess just like... actually, I guess we want to put it down here. You'll see why we don't want to put it down there in just a second. But if we then link you to you, that should hopefully rather quickly, turn all of that into ores, which is exactly what we want. At that point, we can then get the clock. That is 4 stone, 4 redstone, and a redstone torch. Now, you can just put the clock down on its own. However, in my testing, I do think that the advanced redstone repeater here is probably well worth the investment. And you'll see why in just a second when we actually get it down. But it allows us a level of customizability to the pulse that comes out of the redstone clock, which, by the way, for those who don't know, the redstone clock just emits a redstone signal like once every second or two. I actually don't know quite how fast it is, but if I put it down and show you here, it's about once a second-ish. So it just emits a periodic redstone signal. I think by default that might be a bit too fast. However, we can slow it down somewhat utilizing this advanced redstone repeater here. So the system that I'm about to use, I think, is likely going to generate some stone. Because we're not scanning the area for stone, like we're not using the scanner, we're just going to periodically activate all the miners on a timer. That does mean that we're going to get some stone in our miners, which is to be expected. That is fine, I think. All we're going to have to do at that point is just pull all of the stone that, we get and then send it back around, like feed it back into the system. I think that should be fine. What I think we are going to do is I think we're going to use an ender porcupine to pull all of the items out of all of the miners. So the idea here being that if we do something like, for now, let's just say this, and this, and then we do this, and eventually we're going to put a translocator on here. Unfortunately, you can only put a translocator on the ender porcupine if the block that the ender porcupine is mimicking can accept a translocator. What that does mean is that we're, of course, going to do something like, I think it's negative Z. Yeah, so we go back by 6, like that, and then we go, I think, 2 and 2, is that right? Almost. We need to bring that back by 1. Yes. So now that's covering all of our miners. If I was to put a translocator down, it will go down, and it will work. However, the second that it tries to mimic that center block that isn't a miner, so now, it's going to pop off. So in order to make sure this continues to work, we're just going to put a chest here. That chest isn't going to do anything, but it is going to mean that the translocator won't pop off here. And so as it cycles through, it should be able to pull everything out of all of those chests. To make it faster, we will, of course, go ahead and put a little bit of glowstone down. Let's say right about here. And that's just going to mean that anything that is pulled out of here is pulled out nice and quickly. And then cycling back around to this advanced repeater, what we can do here is we can specify the turn off and turn on delay. So how long after receiving a redstone signal does it wait before turning the redstone on here? And then how long after the redstone signal is turned on does it wait before it turns off? So I think we want to maybe bring this down a bit, but bring this up a bit. So this is in ticks, by the way. So 20 ticks is 1 second. So we're essentially saying turn on faster than a second, but then wait more than a second. And we could tweak this as we go. But if we put this down, we should hopefully see stone get placed, stone get transmuted, and we might want to lower that just a little bit, maybe go down to like 40 ticks, which is 2 seconds there. But with the stone gets placed, the stone is then transmuted into ores, and then the stone is broken, and placed into the miners. The miners then extracted from via the porcupine, and things are dumped into this chest. As you can see, we are getting some stone. Not everything is being transmuted quite fast enough. Again, it's quite possible that maybe we want to go a little bit longer on this. By the way, you can normal click to go up by single intervals. You can shift click to go up by larger intervals. Obviously, the longer of a delay we put on here, the better this is going to work. Obviously, when it's daytime like this, it's not going to work at all. And the reason why that's not working at all is because I don't have this in the user anymore. So let's quickly skip through to the night. When it's night, it's going to be working a lot faster. There we go. And then if we put this in here, that should keep it night going forward. But yeah, this should be going pretty quickly, I think. Like, the ores do transmute very fast. And so I think the vast majority of the 25 ores here are going to be actual ores when they're pumped in. All we have to do now, though, is actually move all of that stone back. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to temporarily turn this off. Because I think what is going to make a lot of sense here is for us to actually put all of these ores into storage drawers as opposed to putting them into a chest like this, right? So if we can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drawers, it looks like, I guess 8 if you include stone. If we can get 8 drawers, which we should be able to do, we are going to require 1 more marble brick and a little bit more sooty marble. But if we can get that going, and we're also, of course, going to need some more actual drawers as well. But if we can get that going, we can actually store all those in drawers, and it should make it easier for us to pump the stone background into their resultant chests. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, like that. And I think for now, can we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? We can. I do think we probably want to get a draw controller here, an item that we've not made so far in this playthrough, but one that is very useful nonetheless. We do need nether quartz for it, which I think we do have lying around somewhere in this complete mess of chests that we have. We totally do. Perfect. And yeah, at that point, we need 1 regular draw and then 6 redstone torches. That seems very doable. A regular draw we can, of course, make like that. And that should be pretty much everything. Let's make those 2 repeaters. Diamond-wise, I do think that we still do have at least 1 diamond. We do. Perfect. And so that gets us the draw controller. For those who don't know, the draw controller allows you to kind of access all of your draws from one centralized location. So, for example, if we put the... We are going to have to move the porcupine, but if we put the draw controller down, let's say here, this draw controller can access all of these drawers. So if we pump items into this draw controller, it's going to be able to pump items into these drawers. And of course, we're going to assign 1 of each drawer to 1 of each ore, and also to stone. So coal, iron, gold, redstone, diamond, emerald, lapis, and stone. We do want to get our draw key and lock all these. You can just right-click the draw controller, and that will lock them all. To do that, though, you do have to make sure your draw controller has, like, its front visible. So if we turn this around like so, we should then be able to right-click the front there, and thus lock all of these drawers, which is very nice indeed. And then, yeah, if we just move this porcupine. Okay, so for whatever reason, the translocators don't like it when your drawers have creative upgrades, so like when they can hold infinite items. They just don't like that, so it wasn't working for whatever reason. We've swapped out the translocators with a transfer node. We're going to put in a stack upgrade and 4 speed upgrades, and that should hopefully drain this chest out faster than it's being filled up. Yeah, perfect. And so we should hopefully see a bunch more items in here now. We've got 40 emerald ore, 45 diamond ore, 57 lapis ore, over 1,000 stone and climbing, and then a bunch of redstone, gold, iron, and coal as well, which is grand. So I was thinking this might be the last stream chat, but alas, it is not. Between streams, I will leave the world running for, as long as I can, to see if we can get enough resources to make this sword here. I think it's going to be doable. It's just going to take a lot of time. So, chat, it has been a full day since we initially set this system here going. We've got all of our stone being produced. It's all being placed down around our new, more powerful ritual anchor. And so we're getting all of these ores that are being pumped over into these frame drawers here. I left the world running for a few hours after the stream yesterday, and I also had the world open for a few hours this morning. We do have the time in a bottle here. I believe the time in a bottle was at about 9 minutes at the end of the last stream, so I believe that the world has been open for about 6.5 hours since the last stream, and in that time, we have managed to acquire 90,000 coal, 43,000 iron, 9,000 gold, 12,000 redstone, 3,000 diamond, 1,780 emerald, 2,300 lapis, and currently 0 stone. The reason for that is that I did end up going ahead and putting down a new ender chest that links up directly to this ender chest to kind of feed all of the stone that we mistakenly mine back through to be replaced down and remined again. You can see here that we're definitely not producing stone fast enough to keep up with this. Like, a lot of these miners are not putting stone down because they don't have any stone to place. And so we could, if we wanted to, look at increasing like the size of this monstrosity down here even further. However, I'm fairly certain that, 1,700 emerald ore here should be more than enough, given that we can quadruple the emerald ore into emeralds via the Starlight Infusion Altar. We should be able to get, well over 6,000 emeralds from this draw full of emeralds there. Along those lines, I have added one mod to the pack between streams. I've also, by the way, gone ahead and tried to tidy this up a little bit. I've added 2 more radiant chests. I also have this manifest on me here. So, for example, if I wanted some black dye, I can go ahead and grab that. I'm going to try and use this a little bit. I should have been using it, of course, like throughout the playthrough, but hopefully we can get a bit more use out of it in the last few episodes here, or in the last episode here. But I have added one mod to the pack, and that mod is the Just Enough Calculation mod. Specifically, it's the mod that adds the crafting calculator. This is the item that I'm really after. So this is a pretty nifty device, and it doesn't do a whole lot, but what it does do is it allows us to kind of break down some really complex recipes. For example, the final quest requires us to make this sword here, which of course requires all of these cores that are made with all of these different resources and items, and without having to, alt-tab out to like a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet to plot all of the items required, what we can do is if we right-click on the crafting calculator, we can essentially teach the calculator how to make this, and then the calculator will tell us how many of each item we need to make the sword. If you open the calculator and then click on the recipe and shift right-click that recipe in with the Move Items button, you can then click Save, and this calculator now knows this recipe. So if you click and drag the sword and put it in, and we'll just click there, you'll see that it's telling us we need 2 opinion cores and 1 stick to make 1 sword. If I wanted 100 swords, it tells me I need 100 sticks and 200 cores. We could take this further though. If we look at this recipe and then look at the recipe for the opinion core, we can teach it how to make this as well. And again, click Save. Now, to make 1 sword, it breaks it down even further and tells us we need 1 stick, 4 inspiring cores, 4 nether stars, and 2 iron ingots. Of course, the idea here is that we can break this down further by teaching it every single one of the cores all the way down to the bottom, and that's going to give us a 100% accurate idea as to how many blocks of emerald we need, how many blocks of gold we need, how many blocks of iron we need, how much red coal we need. All of that kind of stuff can really be broken down. We could even break it down even further, right, into if we teach it how to make emerald blocks, it'll tell us how many emeralds we need. We need 1,152. We can find out how many diamond blocks we need, how many iron ingots we need, and it just gives you a much better idea, a much clearer idea of how much of everything we are going to need, right? For whatever reason, the crafting calculator doesn't like the recipe for the elytra. If I shift-click this recipe in, for whatever reason, it still just says we need 16 elytras. Presumably that has something to do with the elytra being like a vanilla Minecraft item, and the crafting calculator just assumes you can go and get them from the end. So unfortunately, it doesn't tell me how many feathers I need or how much spectral string or spectral ingots, but the fact that it does tell us we need 16 elytras means that we can infer fairly easily that we need 16 spectral ingots, 32 spectral string, and 64 feathers, right? That's a fairly easy calculation for us to make. And so that's probably actually where we'll start today. I'm fairly certain that we have 9,000 iron. We do. We have 167,000 iron that's been accumulating between streams. Over here, we have, of course, that almost 2,000 emerald ore, which, again, is more than enough for all the emeralds we need. We have 3,000 diamond ore, which, again, more than enough for the diamonds. Again, we can, I believe, quadruple the diamond ore into diamonds if we run it through the altar. And, yeah, we should have the nether stars. I'm fairly certain that we have over 2,000 red coal. We do. We have 8,000 red coal, which is perfect. Gold, we obviously have an unlimited amount of, so we don't have to worry about that. We do have to think about the 64 chorus fruit, or the 64 chorus flowers. Over here, we do have a couple of chorus flowers that we can go ahead and begin to harvest. I think I'll take all of these. I don't think we're going to quite have 64 here, so I think what we're probably going to do is just harvest all of the flowers that we do have, and then we can probably just craft any of the remaining flowers required, because the clay here really isn't going to be too difficult for us to get, right? We can get like a stack of sand, make a stack of clay, craft that into a stack of purple terracotta, and that's going to get us, a stack of chorus flowers. So that really shouldn't be, I don't think, too difficult for us. So we have 39 chorus flowers. That's the amount we've managed to acquire from our harvesting there, which means we only need 25 more here. That's unfortunate. Of course, it'd be nice if we only needed 24, because then we could just make, 3 lots of 8 there. I don't think we have any lying around, and I should get used to using this guy right here. Do I have any chorus flowers lying around here? I do not. That is actually fine, I guess. In that case, we are going to have to make 32 terracotta, which, again, really shouldn't be a problem. That's just 32 sand, run through the altar, and then smelted, crafted, and run through the altar again. So it really shouldn't be too difficult for us. Let's grab 32 sand. Let's take that and our time in a bottle, of course, over to the altar. Perfect. So 32 clay. We can then go and smelt that up. I feel like we might as well do that in one of these furnaces and then just give it a quick one of those. Perfect. We can then, of course, craft that up with, is it purple dye we need for the chorus flower? It is, yeah. So we need, 4 purple dye, which is 4 lapis and 4 red dye. We have 2 red dye there. I will once again check my manifest here for the remaining red dye if we have any, which we totally do. Perfect. Lapis-wise, I think we might be a bit low on lapis. Yeah, however, one thing I will do kind of right at the start here is I will go ahead and just, make a bunch of lapis so we don't have to keep making it, individually going forward here. I also think we probably do want to get some speed upgrades into that guy. Where are my speed upgrades? I don't think there are any in here right now, right? There are 4 in there. Let's take those out. Those should be fine, actually. And we'll put these in here just to make this guy faster. I believe if we do this, that's going to very quickly get us a stack of lapis blocks. Perfect. And that should be, I think, really all of the lapis that we're going to need for the remainder of the stream here. So if we combine the lapis, of course, with the red dye, that's going to get us purple dye. We can then craft that up into purple terracotta. Like so. We can once again run that through one of these furnaces. We can probably go ahead and turn this off for now. We don't need any more red coal, so we don't need this clogging up our inventory either. Let's give that a quick speed boost. And there we go. That should be pretty much everything for another half stack of chorus flower, at which point we are basically, I think, good in terms of all of the chorus flower that we need for the final quest here. And I think it's probably time to look at the elytras, if I were to guess. Let's have a look in here. So we have the stick, we have the nether stars, we have the iron, we don't have the bottle of enchanting or the elytras. We've got the chorus flower, the emeralds, the diamonds, the gold, and the red core. So we just need these 2. I think we'll do the bottle of enchanting next. Again, you can break this down yet further. We could go ahead and teach it this, but essentially that tells us basically what we already know that we need, which is that we need 32 water bottles and 32 magical apples. You can even teach it recipes with the enchanter as well. That breaks it down even further. 32 apples and 2 lapis should get us everything we need there. And so let's go ahead and get some more apples, shall we? And there we go, 32 apples. Nice. Once again, it is going to be a little bit tedious to craft here because in order to get these, I believe that is the water bottle used, or is it just the water that's used. The actual water bottle is used, and so we do need 31 more water bottles, which is a little unfortunate, albeit not terrible. So there's 32 bottles of enchanting. So now all we need are the 16 elytras. So as mentioned before, for this, we're going to need a lot of ectoplasm. We need 16 spectral ingots, which is 16 ectoplasm. The lapis and the gold shouldn't be an issue here. I guess this recipe is cheaper, right? Given that it uses 7 ectoplasm for 9 spectral ingots as opposed to 9 ectoplasm for 9 ingots if we go this way. So we'll probably go this way forward. We can make 2 sets there. I guess either way, it doesn't really matter. If we do it this way... Oh, no, yeah. If we do it this way, we can use like 14 ectoplasm to make the 16 spectral ingots we need. We then also need 32 spectral string, and it's a 1 ectoplasm to 1 spectral string ratio. So we need 32 ectoplasm for the spectral string, and then 14 for this. So total, that's 46 ectoplasm, I think. We probably could just go ahead and get like a stack of resonating gems and crush those down. That probably is going to be by far the easiest way for us to do this. Beautiful. And then if we take those over to our nearest crusher, which I think is actually all the way over here, it is, we can once again do one of these, throw in this guy, give that a quick speed boost there. And yeah, that should be basically everything that we need. We could definitely go ahead and just steal some speed upgrades here if we wanted to make that even faster. Perfect. And yeah, that should be enough ectoplasm, I think. We are going to have to make some actual string. Like, that's going to be a thing we have to make here. We need 32 regular string. The diamond's not going to be a problem there. We do have nocturnal powder. And of course, we can make clay fairly easily. In fact, we probably even already have some clay lying around. We do. We have 17 blocks of clay distributed between these two radiant chests here. So if we just go ahead and craft that down, and then grab our nocturnal powder, which once again I will check for in here. We don't have any nocturnal powder in there. However, I am remembering now that we do have this chest. Yeah, that's probably something I should have moved between streams, although I don't see much in there that we're probably going to need in today's stream. Let me quickly end tracking there so it stops the line pointing to the radiant chest. So we need 32 string, which thankfully with these newer recipes is significantly easier to do. And at that point, I think we're pretty much good to go. Let's grab a quick stack of diamond ore. Just the one will do for now. If we run that through over here, half a stack will do for now. That gets us 2 stacks of diamonds. And yeah, that should be everything for the spectral string. And then for the spectral ingots, we need lapis, gold, and ectoplasm. So we have the ectoplasm. So there's our lapis. Gold-wise, we will just go ahead and craft up some gold blocks. Perfect. And then the ectoplasm we have, I think that's pretty much everything, right? So boom, and boom, that should be more than enough. And at that point, all we need is feathers, right? We need a stack, I believe, of feathers. So to get a stack of feathers, we need a stack of paper through the starlight infusion there. So we do have enough wood here to get all the paper. All we should have to do is run that wood through our crusher. And then run that paper through the infusion altar. And I think, chat, that we might actually be ready to complete this final quest. Which for us is not going to be the final quest because we have other quests to complete. The elytras don't stack, which is something you would know, Isaac, if you played even 4 seconds of vanilla Minecraft. But we'll go ahead and take those out like so. That's going to make it super awkward to make the calls with it, but that is fine. So if we look under steps, it tells us how many of each item we need. So we need 512 opinion cores. If we're going to make 512 opinion cores, we need 4,600 iron and 2,000 red coal. So I guess we'll take a mechanical crafter here, and we'll use this. Well, this is a temporary place, of course, because I think all we're going to do is we're just going to move kind of everything we need for the craft over to here. we will temporarily steal this iron and put that there. At that point, if we go with red coal, not red coal, sorry, we want the opinion coal. We are going to have to, we have to do two things, right? We need two crafters because we need one crafter to make iron blocks, and then we need one crafter to make the actual cores. I don't know if this works. I don't know if we can teach this how to make iron blocks and then teach this how to make cores. You totally can. Okay, so I wasn't sure if it'd be able to pull the iron out of here. I guess it makes sense that it can, but that is good to know. So we need a lot of those. I think it's probably going to be a good idea for us to get another draw here, because we do need 512 of these cores. And then I think all we'll do is we'll just pump up out of this crafter into this guy. Once that gets to 512, we can call this off. Of course, we can go ahead and speed both of these up to hopefully get those a good deal faster. Oh yeah, that's going to be done in no time. So we have 706 pathetic cores. So we're going to move this down to here and then change this. The Twitch chat has handily pointed out that we should stop this guy from continually dropping gold into that pool there. That would very quickly cause some problems for us. In here, we're going to switch over to making the next tier of core, and we can actually just move these to the input slot to get rid of any excess cores that we have. So here, we're going to need one more crafter making blocks of gold. So there's 4 more mechanical crafters. Let's once again end the tracking there. This one, of course, going to be the exact same. We're going to teach you how to make blocks of gold. And we will, I guess, temporarily go ahead and move this one over to here. Yeah, and then at that point, we do have to be somewhat careful. We have burned through about half of the time in our bottle here. We probably don't have to go quite as hard. Like, we probably don't have to speed up each one of the crafters to max speed. That's probably not strictly a requirement here, but if we do this and this, we can go ahead and give them all a bit of a speed boost here. And there it is. That's 256. Let's go ahead and just turn you off temporarily so you don't make too many extras. That means that we are done. Like, we've got way too many of these, I guess, right? Like, we don't need any more of those going forward. We do need you down here. At this point in time, we're probably getting to the point where we can actually just, like, hold these. Right? We only need the 4 stacks, so we can put the last 29 away there. These are the 4 stacks we need. We're no longer working with such large numbers that we necessarily need to autocraft here. However, if we're going to upgrade these to the next tier, we do need 128 of the next tier, which means we need 128 blocks of diamond and 256 blocks of gold. So in fact, it might actually not be a terrible idea to still use this to some degree. So let's teach our system how to make these guys. We'll then leave the gold making setup there. And I think what we'll do, as recommended by the Twitch chat, is I think we will just run our diamond ore through the grinder. My original plan, of course, was to run it through the Starlight Altar. However, we do have 3,200 diamond ore. And, you know, that's so much diamond ore that we really don't need to run it through the infusion altar. I think here it's like a 1-to-1 conversion, right? If we grind it. Yeah, we get 1. We do have a chance of getting extra that we could utilize if we wanted to. But I think for now, if we just do this and this, I did grab some speed upgrades. So all of these here do have speed upgrades. I think I will move some of those over into here, especially given that we don't need iron ingots anymore. And in fact, we can move that back. I think basically all the way over to here now. I think we're done with iron in general. So once we have power going to the crusher here, that's going to start working. Of course, we will give that the max speed that we can give it. And then from there, we should be basically good to go, right? We've got the cores. Let's put those in the input inventory. Like so. And then blocks of gold being made over here, blocks of diamond being made over here. That should be everything, right? We need to turn you on. Yeah, and at that point, we're basically good to go. And there we have it. There's 2 stacks of opinion cores. So going up from there, we need even more blocks of diamond as well as blocks of emerald. So again, if we're going to, I kind of think, chat, that actually it might be faster, and I'm going to try it here, but if we're going to make, I think 64 of these opinion cores, let me check that though. Yeah, 64 of these, that means we need 64 blocks of emerald, right? I think it's probably going to be faster with the starlight altar, so long as we don't like just run out of starlight, which I think we possibly could, but I actually think that this might be quicker than like trying to go with the grinder setup. So if we were to, for example, just take a bunch of speed upgrades and really speed this guy up, and I guess we actually do have 4 more in one of these guys, I think it'll be faster, and I think it will use less time from our bottle, right? If we do this, so I think that should be good. Let's get even more blocks here. Yeah, we've got over the 64 blocks that we need for the opinion core. We also have a lot of these flares now as well that we also have ready to go. Let me put some of this back. We can also probably, oh no, I was going to say we could put the diamond ore back, but we are going to need the diamond ore in a second, right? So how many blocks of emerald ore do we have here? We've got almost 128 blocks. We do need just the 64 here, but then we need, even more for the next core as well. So we might need yet more than what we have already, but that should be fine. Over here, we are getting diamond blocks. How many diamond blocks do we need? 128? Yeah. 128 diamond blocks should not be a problem. That's 128 diamond blocks. And so I think that we should be able to do a stack of those. We can. If we want to take that further, we need those chorus flowers, which I think I put over here. I definitely did. I think we need, is it 64 blocks here? Yeah. So we just need 4 more of these, which is 8 more blocks. And boom, that is 32 of the good cores. We then need these bottles of enchanting, of which we do have 31 of the 32 required. I did accidentally use one of them earlier in the stream, which is unfortunate. However, we do have a batch of apples. Yeah, we've got 15 magical apples here, so really all we should have to do is get 1 more bottle of water, and that's that bit taken care of. Thus allowing us to make 16 of these cores. We then need the 16 elytras. So let's free up some inventory space and start grabbing. Ooh, interesting. They stack in there, but not in your inventory. That is very interesting. This is one of those situations where we should save the recipe and then just click it a bunch so we don't have to keep putting the elytras in. That's for inspiring cores. And then we're just missing iron of all things. For the perfected cores. And chat, that's it. It took way too much time, but I am pretty sure that the secret ending quest is indeed complete. Look at that. I have no idea what this thing does. It says, whoa, whoa, whoa. Is that sword powerful enough to kill a god? We originally couldn't let you leave for contractual reasons, but now we can't let you leave and run the risk of you killing us. Deicide is against company policy after all. Enjoy your time in the infinite void. Wow. Chat. Wow. After all that, after all we've done for this company, after all the nether stars we have made, they're not going to let us go. So we've done the final quest, Eternal Exile. We're here forever. If we're going to be here forever, we might as well spend a bit of time completing some of these other quests here. The first and easiest one that's also going to get us our very first dollar is definitely going to be to craft the remaining nether stars. We have a setup, of course, that is supposed to make nether stars. However, this setup doesn't work, unfortunately. The reason for that is that despite a lot of tweaking, this system over here just doesn't work. I don't know if it's bugged or if my setup is just bad. If we look over here, like whenever I watch this setup, like if I sit here and watch it go crystal and watch it break it, it seems to work. But then if I leave it running, it just continues to break tier 4 crystals and not give me celestial crystals. For reference, you get 1 stardust every time a crystal is broken. So 68 crystals have been broken, tier 4, but we only have 1 celestial crystal in here, which is unfortunate. Over here, we can't really see it because I've been, we've got a trash can, so we don't see how many stardust we have. But yeah, for whatever reason, this doesn't seem to work. I have seen some people in the YouTube comments said they have the same issue. I think there is an alternative method. I saw a few comments recommending that we duplicate our celestial crystals in the same way we've been duplicating our rock crystals. That is that if you get a size 400 celestial crystal, I think you can split it if you leave it in starlight. And then you can maybe do some things with entity detectors to try and like scan for when there are 2 crystals, and then, trigger a redstone signal to pick up crystals, and then, drop one back down. I did some testing with the Discord, and we couldn't get the entity detector to behave in like a consistent manner. So I don't know if that's really automatable either. But either way, we can, of course, go ahead and take all the resources that we have automated and get ourselves a stack of nether stars fairly easily. And there we go. A stack of nether stars, which we can go ahead and hand in, submit, claim our first $1, which is from, I actually no idea what mod the dollar is from. Oh, it's from Content Tweaker. Can we use this for something? Can I purchase an item? I can't. It's an entirely useless item, which is exactly what I expected. So the final 2 quests we have now, chat, are the Indexer remote and the Celestial Gateway. So there's the Celestial Gateway. We could put this down, but I also don't really think there's much need to. They are pretty neat if you have a larger base than we currently have. If you have like a sprawling base, or just places far away that you need to get to, you can essentially use them as a long-distance teleportation device. I'm actually not quite sure which tab they fall under. Oh, here they are. So you build 2 multi-block structures that look like this, and then you can teleport from one to the other, which, again, is very useful over long distances. Not as useful over, incredibly short distances like the one we have here. So let's look at this Indexer remote then. This guy is made in this highest tier of all. So we need a bunch of marble, a bunch of stardust, an ender chest, 2 of the spectral lenses with an ender pouch, which you actually get to make, and an indexer. The indexer is sooty marble, a brazier of hoarding, a manifest, a radiant chest, a monitoring crystal, and then 5 marble. Okay, all of that seems very doable. So sooty marble-wise, we do have 77. Let's grab you. Regular marble-wise, we of course have infinite. Let's grab you. Let's clear that tracking as well there. What else do we need? Let's also bookmark the indexer, just so we have that ready to craft with. So the manifest we have, and I'm happy to throw the one we have into making this indexer here, because I don't think we're going to use it too much more going forward. For the brazier of hoarding, we need radiant dust, charcoal, wood, and gold, all of which I think we should have. Charcoal we have in abundance. The dust I'm also fairly certain we have over a stack of. We do. It's spread out quite thinly, but we have it. As for the wood and gold, that's also basically free. So we'll take 2 wood and some gold, and then we'll craft all of that together over in this lovely gem cutter's table that we have here. And boom. Perfect. That's that guy taken care of. The radiant chest is super easy. The radiant chest is, I believe, one of these with just a vanilla chest. It is indeed. And then what was the final item here? We also needed a monitoring crystal, which is a shaped radiant quartz, 2 nuggets, and 4 sticks. So sticks, easy enough. Nuggets, easy enough. And the crystal I believe we have stored up over here. We do indeed. Perfect. If we go back over to the gem cutter's table, that should also be the monitoring crystal taken care of, at which point, chat, I think we're pretty much good for the indexer. And then to upgrade that to the remote version, the hardest part here, I think, is going to be the spectral lenses, really. And there we go. It is done. We have the indexing remote, and we have completed the challenge quest. My goodness. Okay. With that, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the series there. We did miss one quest, which I didn't realize we had to do, which is this one up here for magical equipment. Like a lava charm, a miner's ring, a magic hood, a summoning pendulum, and the water walking boots, which we could craft. There are some interesting items here. For example, demon ingots you make by throwing gold at a nether brick structure with lava in it, which is pretty interesting. But in reality, we don't need any of these, and I think it would just be a little bit tedious to go ahead and make those. And in general, we've gone ahead and completed all the challenges and even the secret ending here. And so with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up Star Factory there. A fun little mod pack. I quite enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of these like short but focused mod packs like this. I wish we'd see more in the future. I had a good time. Huge thank you to the Puncrafter, I think is his name, or maybe just Puncrafter, for making the mod pack. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope he continues to make more in the future.